So welcome everybody, welcome to the call. I'm Melina Abdullah. On today's show, we're gonna be talking about something that's really important. All of us are kind of trying to figure things out as we enter in a world that's shifting. Many of us are adhering to shelter-in-place orders, and so we're doing the call a little bit differently. We're all remote. Normally we'd be together, but we're all in remote locations. We're using technology to try to get a virtual conversation going. COVID-19, the coronavirus, I sometimes feel like, it's like Biggie Smalls or something. It changes its name all the time, right? COVID-19, we know, is disproportionately hitting Black people, both in terms of rates of contraction, but also the rate of Black death. And then there's a lot of conversation in the Black community around what else is there to this. We know that the government has a long history of not giving us all of the information, and it has a long history of really engaging in what some people call conspiracy theories. I identify myself as a conspiracy realist because there are real conspiracies that the government has imposed, especially on Black people, beginning with, enslavement, beginning with the period following emancipation with Jim Crow laws. I started thinking about Black codes when the shelter-in-place orders initially came down, and they said gatherings of no more than 2 people or 2 people or more are not allowed to gather. And I thought about how that parallels with Black codes, right? And so there's been conversation within the Black community about what more could there be to this. And, some folks have kind of dismissed some of those conspiracy theories. We have conspiracy theories ranging from, well, it's really about 5G and radiation, to it's about Bill Gates trying to capitalize upon vaccinations, right? So we have all kinds of conspiracy theories, but we also have a reality of real histories of conspiracy. So we're not here to really delve into whether there's a legitimacy to the ones that we hear running, but we are thinking about how the system of white supremacist patriarchal capitalism has a pattern of seizing upon these moments in order to kind of drill down and really levy a disproportionate burden on Black people. And so we're going to have a very lively conversation, I believe. We have actor Timon Kyle Durrett, who many of you will recognize from the show Queen Sugar. He's a dear friend, and he's also someone who's been talking about the need to be prepared for many, many years. And he's talked about how, regardless of whether or not any of the conspiracy theories are accurate, there are a set of solutions that apply regardless. So regardless if what the government is telling us about COVID-19 is true or not, we still need to prepare ourselves for emergencies such as this one. So I just want to jump right into the conversation, and maybe we can begin with you, Timon, just talking about what it is we need to do, and what do you see on the landscape? What do you see? Does this feel right to you? To me, I know we've had conversations about this. To me, I think about this history of a government that uses its power to really conspire with economic institutions to steal money and resources from the backs of working people, especially working class Black people. And I think about things like the Tuskegee experiments. I think about things like, COINTELPRO. I think about things like the way the CIA and law enforcement is over-policing and surveilling even contemporary movements like the one Chanel and I are engaged in with Black Lives Matter. So one, what do you make of this landscape? Do you think we know everything? And then we'll get into what we need to do about it.
Well, like going back to what you said, the long history of patterns, it's when things like this happen, it's been said, I forget what public figure said it, but he said, never let a good crisis go to waste. And, which means we need to utilize this. Every time our rights are eroded a little bit, they don't give them back. After 9/11, I remember many of us can remember the times when we can go to the gate and meet our loved ones when they come in from a flight someplace. Now you have to be probed and prodded and scanned and radiated every time you go into the terminal. They don't plan on giving that back. Whenever they take something, they don't plan to give it back. So, and the ubiquitous they, whoever they are. But as far as on the landscape, what I see a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of blind compliance, and a lot of apathy toward information. Is one thing that I find very disheartening, especially with us Black people, is that we feel that we can reject or accept a thing based on how we feel about it. Facts don't care about your feelings. If we were all in a car and we're on an open road and we get a flat tire, you can be happy about it. I can be angry about it. Someone can be sad about it or frustrated or indifferent. Doesn't matter how you feel. The fact remains that that tire, if not changed or replaced, will inhibit your movement henceforth. And so by that example, I say, listen, if we may not know everything that's going on with this thing. Like I said, I see a lot of people just blindly complying and not asking questions, not recognizing patterns, dismissing information, throwing out evidence. Condemnation without investigation is one of the highest forms of ignorance. Don't even want to know anything. And I think that's part of why we're in this position, because fear and ignorance are a horrible mix. And ignorant does not mean that you're unintelligent. It just means that you don't know a thing. I'm ignorant about how to put together a car engine. I don't know that. But just because you don't have to stay ignorant, take information. It baffles me how we can sit and believe talking heads on TV that we've never met, probably never meet, never talk to, will believe everything that they say. But then when someone that you've known for years, that you love and trust and you've broken bread with, when they present different or controversial or contradictory information to what you've been fed, then they want to attack you. Like, I'm familiar and you attack me, but they're unfamiliar and you suck up what they say as a sponge. So the level of confusion and gullibility and compliance and fear and ignorance is why we're here. And that is why I feel that there's the need to prepare, because until we know the truth, you may be stuck in a situation that you don't want to be in. No one thought that we'd have to have masks and gloves on and stand in a line 6 feet apart, marked, and people telling you where you can and can't go. It's just like Germany or North Korea. This isn't, if this looks like freedom to you, and we're not in a free country, just so everyone knows, but if this does not look like more erosions of your freedoms, I don't know what is. So I always tell people, and I'll wrap this up, to get what you need. Get water, get food, get somewhere to protect yourself. It's unfortunate we're in a time where there are people who will take advantage of you if they can. People have been doing it already. Now when things are in the fourth quarter, in this crunch time, folks are getting desperate.